As older employees stick around longer, there are now more generations working at the same time than ever before, and expectations from some of those younger employees can be radically different. So what do the older boomer or Gen X managers need to know about their younger colleagues? Karl Moore is an associate prof at McGill University and author of the new book, Generation Y, How Boomers Can Lead and Learn from Millennials and Gen Z. Karl, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Amanda.
So let's start right there. What, in terms of leading this younger group, which is a growing force in the workforce, what do older employees need to know?
Well, one thing, you've got to listen more than you used to, at least when I was younger. People didn't listen to me that much, partly because they knew what we were doing. Where in today's more turbulent world, younger people have more to offer in terms of understanding the world and how our strategies should evolve to be of today's world rather than from yesterday's world. So part of it is we've got to listen more from a viewpoint of better strategy, Amanda. But also, if you don't listen to young people and give them some time, you're a jerk. Where it's less hierarchical than it used to be, and their truth is almost as good as my truth. And this is what we teach them at McGill and U of T and various places. It's the nature of what they're taught and how they view the world.
Right. One place.
The second important point is that we've got to be reverse mentored by young people. So 30% of the time, undergraduates, I have about 8 working for me part-time on books and various things, they mentor me. They teach me. I had a meeting with a student this morning, and I ask his opinion and what should we do, and don't follow everything he says, but I listen respectfully and do a fair bit of what he says. Now, I do make the point that 30% of the time they're reverse mentoring, but 70% of the time I'm mentoring them, and don't forget that, and they laugh. But it's more of a two-way street than in the past.
So, Karl, some of us older folks will hear that and say there is a younger generation that may feel more entitled, that they think their opinions are equal to that of older, more experienced people, and that you're kind of playing into that. Is that bringing old biases to the table, and you're saying we need to look at this a different way?
I think so. I interviewed a guy, General Martin Dempsey, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he said, generals fight the battles of their youth. And you and I have liquid wisdom, or crystallified wisdom, where we've crystallized certain ideas. Mm-hmm. Part of that wisdom is now dated, and young people only have liquid wisdom or intelligence because they don't have a lot of experience. Our experience is less relevant than it was 20 years ago. Right. When older people managed us. And I think that's just the reality of the world we're in. Are there limits to it? Absolutely. When I talk to Gen Z, I say, calm down, you're not the center of the universe. And 2, I have things to teach you. Mm-hmm. But I think it's incumbent in the boomers and the Xers, because we're more apt to be in charge, to change a bit of how we act towards them. And I think will lead, frankly, to better business results, more engaged young people, and better strategy as well.
One place this is showing up already, of course, is the work from home conversation. Do you think older, more entrenched management ideas should give way to that often younger view that work from home is here to stay?
Well, CEOs, I have a CEO class from Radio Show. I interview lots of CEOs, about 100 a year. And a bit of the consensus of older people is come to the office, go to the water cooler, schmooze people. And there's some truth to that. On the other hand, if you spend an hour and a half each way commuting in Toronto, not commuting because you spend time with your spouse and your small kids sounds very attractive. I think the older people got carried away a bit, but so have the younger people. And it's probably a balance between the two of working a couple days a week at work and a couple days at home. For most people, makes sense. Now, I come to work, it's a 16-minute commute, 3 minutes on the metro. It's a nice break in the day. But if I lived an hour and a half away each way, I would think very differently about it. So I think it's an age thing and a privilege thing as well.
Karl, so good to have your thoughts on this. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Amanda.
Karl Moore is an associate prof in the Faculty of Management at McGill University. Time for the takeaway, and when new is old again. A new year rings in that time when forecasts are made and personal goals are set. One of the biggest questions facing the Canadian economy is whether or not it will fall into recession in the year ahead. Inflation, which sent borrowing costs higher, has a dampening effect on economic growth, so you might expect to see softness, and in fact, we've already seen that. But will the year bring a deep recession, and with it, layoffs and sharp reductions in spending? Here, it's worth noting that Canadians are significantly gloomier than the economic data suggests we should be. For quite some time, we've felt terrible, even though the economy has been okay. There's some speculation that it's because the layoffs have been concentrated in industries that get a lot of attention, or in the case of media, that literally write the headlines. So one bit of advice for the new year might be to ignore the headlines and even the economic forecasts, and just take a hard look at our own circumstances. It's always true that comparing ourselves to our neighbor generally results in less satisfaction, not more. The grass being greener and all that. But in the case of financial affairs, it really doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. Our own job, our household's ability to weather a storm, our savings or potential to save, and even our own satisfaction with our life is all that really matters. Even in the event of a recession, many of us will be okay. That includes those who may lose their jobs, as many can be rehired elsewhere in time. Conversely, if we get overly distracted by the affairs of others, we can actually make ourselves feel worse and change our circumstances for the worse. And if too many of us act as though circumstances are dire, the economy has a funny way of fulfilling that expectation. My takeaway, it's always good to think of others, but when it comes to our financial well-being, a little self-interest goes a long way. That's Taking Stock for this week. I'm Amanda Lang. Thanks for being with us.